Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I've received some messages from you guys asking about my recently released Mac and Monday Opmet remix. How do I process my bass, my kick and so on. My remix and the original is out now on Addictive Sounds and can be found on every major digital music platform. So make sure to check those out. Anyway, let's jump in. Here's the project for Opmet. I have both of the mixes in the same project, and this helps me to work quicker, and every time I do something in either mix, all the processing gets automatically transferred also to the other side. The arrangement is quite simple. Let me jump over here. So the track starts, this is the extended mix. So the track starts with the intro section and slowly building up. Like so. Then we have the verse section. Then comes the first climax. From there, cool down section. So this is sort of like the bridge. Moving from the climax to the break. Next we have the break. Here I'm introducing some new elements as well. It's this 80s styled melody. In the breakdown. Then after the breakdown comes the build-up. This again is sort of like the bridge section leading to the main drop. Drop, and after that comes the drop climax, which is the biggest and the most hottest part of the song. Let's jump to there. From here we go to the second verse, and from this point on we are starting to preparing the song to the end part, to the outro. So little by little elements are taken down, are muted, filtered down and so on. And the cool down part, pre-outro so to speak, is the part where usually the DJ starts to mix in the next track. And the outro part. Yeah. We could start with the bass. The main bass is coming from Omnisphere. Let's solo these. Like so. It's a well, let's look at the processing in a minute. Yeah, the sound is coming from Omnisphere, and it's a preset called Juno, Classic Juno Bass, and I've edited the sound a little bit, mostly amp and filter envelopes and the velocity curve. Processing on the bass, we have some Saturn giving saturation, and I've split this into two parts. Lower part covering the sub bass and the upper part covering everything else. And both of these have the warm tube engaged, and the drive is around 25-27. After that comes an EQ, cutting everything under 30 Hz away and boosting at a 2K a bit, and some more EQing. This one is boosting the upper part in a dynamic way, so sort of like doing an expansion. Later, when the main drop hits, another layer, top layer, gets introduced, and that helps. Let's jump over here. So, and the top layer helps to bring a bit more drive and energy to this part of the track. The top layer is relatively simple sound coming from Serum. It looks like this. Saw wave, 3 voices, some detuning, filter envelope, and some distortion. And after that, some basic processing. And in the end, shaper box or volume shaper is doing sidechaining. Then another element, well, not technically a bass, but I have it here in the bass bus or bass group, is this tom sound, and this one is creating the groove, or helping to create the groove with the kick. There's also a second bass in the song, but we could look at that a bit later when we decode the breakdown part of it. The processing, this one we already checked. The bass top part, nothing too crazy going on here either. Some EQ, bit of compression every time when the filter opens up a bit. This one ducks things down in order to help things to get, or to be more, I don't know, relaxed in a way. These two basses, including this delay bass, which is same as the top bass, but with added some delay, gets routed to the group. And in this group we have some saturation or excitement, more EQ, transient shaping, some more EQ. This is muted, yeah. So basically controlling some of those peaks, and Renaissance bass giving some extra oomph to the bottom end. And this rolling bass group gets routed to one level up, and it has some stereo spreading. Everything under 200 Hz is being monoed. 500 Hz a tad taken down, and nothing here in the upper region. And the top level, top group, where every bass sound gets grouped or summed, bussed. There's the utility doing some gain automation, decapitator, giving some saturation, but also helping it to shave off some of the peaks. Almost doing like soft clipping in a way. BX console, SSL 4000E, is doing some compression, and on top of that, this one also gives some color, some warmth, analog warmth to the sound. More EQing, now cutting away everything under 30 Hz. So if one of these or any of the other saturation plugins creates something like super low lows, I'm cutting those way at this point. And track spacer, doing some side chaining against the kick. My kick has 2 layers, the bottom layer and the top layer. First one is this here, and I'm cutting everything above 563 away, and that area is being filled with this top kick. Processing wise, I have some EQ, boosting certain parts a bit more forward, and then cutting away this resonance here. Next comes the Oxford inflator. This one makes things to pop a bit more and make them more in your face, so to speak, by adding some odd and even harmonics and doing some kind of a special soft clipping thing. The effect is set at 10%, so it's just doing very little. Next we have shaper box or volume shaper. This one is controlling the length, the decay of the kick in order to make things glue a bit better with the bass. The second volume shaper is automated on and off, and it's shortening the kick in the intro and outro sections. And utility doing some gain automation. Next we could take a look at the ARPs and melodies. Let's jump over here to the climax part where everything is playing. The main ARP has 2 layers. The main sound is coming from a Diva. I've edited this one a bit, adding some more sub and editing the envelopes a little bit, but that's pretty much that. After that comes some OTT over the top compression. The depth is set at 16%, and this is just gluing things and adding some extra top harmonic content to the sound. The second layer, top layer, is from Serum. This is my own preset I'm trying to copy or emulates the sound Tin Liquor is using in their track Gravity. And at a group level, some imaging, spreading the sound a bit, couple of EQs, filters, compression, OTT, more excitement, Saturn, EQ Pro Q3, doing some sharp cutting, those peaks away. BX Refinements is giving some analog vibe, analog warmth, and dampening the sound in a way that it isn't that sharp. And Oxford Inflator again, doing some saturation, clipping magic, and EQ. The second ARP in this section, or the second ARP group. The main thing over here is the acid sound. This one is from the original track, so I'm not doing too much with it. First some filter that's being automated and an EQ. Then there is the gated sound, some EQ, filter and effects, and some background chords. These are spread very wide in the sides. And together everything sounds like this. In the top group level, some decapitator, clipper, doing very little, 0.3, 0.4, cutting away those sharp peaks, giving more headroom. Some EQ, I felt the lower mids needed a bit more, so I added 2.5 dBs in that section. Utility, doing gain automation, shaper box, and 2 track spaces, doing some side chaining. First one against the bass, and the second one is doing against the vocals. Next, let's take a look at the vocals. So, the main vocal, this one is playing in the drop climax, but also in the breakdown. And alongside this, we have these chops, vocal chops. And the processing is pretty similar in both. So let's see. I have some Melodyne. I felt the main vocal was a tad out of tune, so I used some Melodyne. Then comes some EQ. This group here is mainly compression and some EQ, dynamic EQing, and some effects. And on group level, we have some saturation. And if we move up a tad to the main vocal group, where everything gets buzzed or summed. We have a bit more saturation, EQ cutting everything under 150 away, sidechain and utility doing, again, that important gain automation. Next, we could take a look at the breakdown. Let me loop this section here. One of the main elements is the sub bass or the res bass. Simple sound, 2 oscillators and some detuning. And this detuning makes those oscillators interact with each other, doing that pulsing kind of sound. After that comes some chorus. This one is a free plugin. Some track spacer, sidechaining against vocal, some filtering, EQ. This is controlling the sub part with a dynamic EQ and some compression. And with this sound, we have this shorter blang kind of res, which is the same sound as the pad, but just edited a bit and filtered quite heavily, taking all the low end away, giving everything to the main sound. Then we have the pad sounds. There's some track spacer going on, sidechaining. Let me disable those. So this sound is coming from Diva. A beautiful pad sound, some auto pan, EQ and compression. And the MIDI looks like this. The second layer is coming from Omnisphere. This one is also filtered quite a bit. Some kind of Juno sound, yeah, Juno cream rise. Can't remember if I did anything to this one, possibly. And a sustained held pedal note. And on group level, some EQ and effects. And one special element in this part is this 80s sound coming from Diva. Some EQ and effects. After this, synth sounds get buzzed together. Here, where I have, let's solo this one. And jump here. First I'm adding some saturation. This one is sort of like a miracle box, adding second and third harmonics. If I mute this, you immediately hear that things become a bit dull and not so polished. But after adding this, things start to sound much better. I'm hearing it's adding some width to the sound, as well as some saturation and perhaps maybe some compression too. Then comes the SSL E channel strip. This one compresses things a bit and also colors things slightly. And EQ, and after that some gain automation. The track isn't mastered by me. It got mastered by the label. Addictive Sounds have a very good mastering engineer working for them, and he did a brilliant job with the track. But for, you know, when I was demoing the track, I made sort of like a pre-mastering, not pre-master, but pre-mastering my own. And I have some OTT. Depth is set at 7%. Some black box. This one gives some analog vibe to things. Saturation box. Then some imaging. Monoing the bass again and spreading the upper frequencies to the sides a bit. Some EQ. The resolution is set at 3, so these aren't doing that much. After that, some glue compression, barely compressing at all, maybe a dB or half a dB. Again, Oxford inflator, giving some extra magic. Lucia alpha compressor, not compressing this time, but doing some soft clipping before the signal goes to the limiters. I'm using 2 limiters. First one is catching some of the peaks here and there, and the second one is doing the actual limiting. I guess that pretty much covers the whole track. If you have anything you'd like to know, or you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I try to get back with you as soon as possible. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the whole Opmet EP. It's out now on Addictive Sounds and can be streamed and purchased on all the major digital music platforms out there. Thanks for watching. Take care.